Hi guys, welcome to our next math lesson. Today we're going to be working on area and perimeter of complex shapes. And what I mean by complex shapes is multiple rectangles or squares put together so that you have to do a little bit of work to figure out what each of the sides are. So almost like a puzzle. It's kind of fun. Alright, but before we do that, you know what I'm going to ask you. We're going to do a little area and perimeter review. So again, area is the measurement of the space inside the shape, everything that fills up the surface. So pop quiz, what is the formula for solving an area problem? You don't have to write this down, but just say it in your head or say it out loud. All right, you got it? Formula for area is, drum roll, area equals length times width. It's like an array problem. You multiply one of the widths times one of the lengths, and you're able to figure out everything that fills inside the shape. All right, now perimeter is the measurement of the distance around the shape, so just the outside edge or the rim. So here you go, pop quiz. What are the two formulas for solving perimeter problems? Okay, you ready? Here we go. Perimeter equals length plus width plus length plus width, or the shortcut is perimeter equals 2 times length plus width. So you're just adding 2 of the sides and then multiplying by 2. All right, so knowing that, let's take a look at our first complex shape that we're going to be working with tonight. So this is Martha. And Martha has a garden with roses, daffodils, and daisies. Answer the questions below about her garden. So before we start to answer any questions, I want you to take a look at this shape. So what we have here is one giant rectangle that has been divided into 3 smaller pieces. So you'll notice the daisies is one piece of the big rectangle, the daffodils is one piece of the big rectangle, and the roses are one big piece of the giant rectangle. So again, before we start answering questions, let's figure out a little bit more about what we know of the garden. So thinking back to characteristics of rectangles and squares, we know in a rectangle that opposite sides are the same length. So for example, if this side of Martha's garden, the roses section, is 3 feet, I know that this side of her garden is 3 feet. So even though the problem didn't give me that information, I can fill that information in. I know that just because I understand rectangles. Now, if this is 3 and this is 3, and this over here is 9, what does this have to be right here? If you said 9 feet, you're right, because opposite sides of a rectangle are the same size. So just looking at the roses section of her garden, we've got 3 feet, 3 feet, 9 feet, 9 feet. All right, we're done with the roses. Let's take a look at the daffodils. If this side of the daffodils is 14 feet, what does this side of her daffodil section have to be? If you said 14 feet, you're right, because opposite sides of rectangles are the same size. So 14 feet and 14 feet. Now we know that this side of the daffodil section is 9 feet. So again, we know that this side over here has to be 9 feet as well. So looking just at this little rectangle inside here, we've got 14, 9, 14, 9. Now, taking a look at her daisy section, I know that the top part of her daisy section is 6 feet, which means that the bottom has to be 6 feet as well. And if this side is 9 feet, you know that this side has to be 9 feet as well. So we've got a little bit more information now written down about Martha's garden. Let's take a look at one of the questions I want you to be able to answer. So first question, what is the length of the garden? Now, I want you to be very careful here because they're asking for the length of her entire garden, not one single section, but all of the sections together, the whole garden. So, and I've told you in the picture that this is length right here. So to solve this problem, I'm going to have to do the 6 feet of the daisy section plus the 14 feet of the daffodil section plus the 3 feet of the roses section, and that is going to give me the entire length, this entire side right here of her garden. So 14 plus 6 is 20, plus 3 is 23. So the length of Martha's garden is 23 feet. Good job. All right, let's get this cleaned up a little. Now, let's see what our next question is. I'm going to put this back. All right, what is the width of her garden? So again, we're measuring the entire garden, not just a single section. But because all of the widths of each of the sections are the same, this one's easy. The width of Martha's garden is 9 feet. All right, let's take a look at our next question that we're going to answer. What is the perimeter of the entire garden? So what I'm going to be doing is adding the outside edge of the whole big garden, not a single piece inside, but the whole big thing outside. And I've got my measurements that I need right here. Since we know perimeter equals length plus width plus length plus width, I'm going to sub in the numbers that I've already answered right here. So length is 23 feet, plus width is 9 feet, plus length is 23 feet, plus width is 9 feet. And when I add all of these numbers together, 23 plus 9 is 32, plus another 23 and 9 is 64. So the perimeter of Martha's entire garden is 64 feet. All right, let's answer one more question about Martha's garden. What is the perimeter of the daffodil section? So here's where you're going to block out the other sections that you don't need and just focus on the section they're asking you about. So they're asking you to solve the perimeter of her daffodils. So let's find our measurements in our daffodil section. We've got a length of 14 feet and a width of 9 feet. So our formula is length plus width plus length plus width. So when I add all of these together, 14 plus 9 is 23, plus another 23 is 46 feet. So the perimeter of Martha's daffodil section is 46 feet. All right, not too bad, right? Let's take a look at one more picture of a garden and answer a few questions. So here's Bob's garden. He's got a vegetable garden, and we know that the length of the carrot section is 6 feet, the length of the tomato section is 14 feet, and the total width of his vegetable garden is 9 feet. So let's go ahead and fill in the information that we know. We know if this side of Bob's tomato garden is 14, then this side is 14. And if this is 9, we know that this piece right here is 9. And if this part of the carrot section is 6, because opposite sides of rectangles are the same, I know that this is 6. And if this is 9 right here, then I know this piece over here is 9 feet as well. So now that we've done that, let's answer some questions about Bob's garden. So what is the length of the garden? So again, we're talking about the whole big garden together, not any of the individual pieces, but the whole thing. So to solve that, I need to add the length of the tomato section to the length of the carrot section. And that's an easy one. 6 plus 14 is 20 feet. Okay, taking a look at our next question. What is the width of Bob's garden? So the width of his garden is easy. Again, we don't even have to do any adding because it's all one size. The width of Bob's garden is 9 feet. Okay, we're going to answer just a couple more questions and then we'll be done. I'm going to put this back where it goes. Okay, so next we want to know what is the area of the entire garden, the whole surface inside, the carrots and the tomatoes together. So again, I'm going to use my formula. Area equals length times width, and I'm going to substitute in what I know. I know that length is 20, and I know that width is 9. So the area of his garden is going to be 20 times 9, which is 180 feet squared. All right, last question. What is the area of the carrot section? So taking a look at the measurements of the carrot section, we've got a length of 6 and a width of 9. So filling in my numbers, length times, not a good times sign, length times width is 9 times 6, which is 54 feet squared. So I think it's kind of fun. It's a little bit like a puzzle and figuring out the missing pieces. So you guys know the drill. Head over to Edmodo, take the area and perimeter of complex shapes quiz on Edmodo. If you have any questions for me about the material in the video, post it for me in the comment section or send me a direct message so we can go over your questions in class tomorrow. Have a great night. I'll see you later.